So the hunt for suspects related to the July unrest last year is gaining momentum. The number of alleged instigators arrested in the past week alone is now at 34. 8 people were arrested today. They appeared at the Durban Magistrate's court. They have been granted bail of 3,000 rand each with conditions. And our senior reporter in Durban, Dasen Thathiah, has been following that story and joins us now. Dasen, so another 8 accused, they have now appeared. Do we know much about these 8? You know, it was explained to us yesterday that there's sort of 3 different categories of people. Do we know where they fit into this puzzle piece of suspects?
Well, Sal, I'm sure that you and others are also hoping to hear that it's the architects or those people on the upper category that were in the dock. But unfortunately, it isn't those people just yet. These are still ordinary, the ordinary folks, the ones that were in WhatsApp groups, the ones that are now charged with incitement to commit public violence and incitement to commit arson. It's more of those. So very similar to the first lot that we saw last week, that first batch of 20 and then the 2 others that appeared on Friday. So these are those normal folks, 4 of them men, 4 of them women. Their ages vary from around just about the early 30s to about the early 40s. So still a fairly young group. That was something that we saw in the earlier arrests as well. So now that total coming up to 34, and this because of the initial 22 on Friday. There were 4 other appearances on Monday, and now you have these other 8 that are appearing in court. And the conditions are the same, the bail conditions are the same. These are very brief court appearances, and this has been the nature of these appearances and these arrests. Things move very quickly. They get into court quite quickly, they're processed, and where they are meant to be granted bail, that also happens if they have the funds to get out. We did speak to the NPA earlier after that court appearance. Let's listen to what the spokesperson in KwaZulu-Natal had to say.
It was a brief appearance, Dasen. As you rightfully said, on the first appearance, a prosecutor had told the court that this is a joint operation between the NPA and the Hawks, and it will result in many people being arrested. So today's was the 3rd appearance, which is the first appearance of the ones that appeared. They were charged with the charges that were put towards the first accused that appeared, and bail was set at 3,000 rand. They will return to court on the 26th of August.
So talk to me about this return on the 26th of August. Will it be all 34 that have been rounded up in the last week who are appearing on the 26th again? And what for?
Well, definitely, Sal. So that was one of the reasons that we saw the adjournment last week. So the intention is that as these arrests happen and as these suspects are then processed through the system, they would all appear together on the 26th of August. And now the intention is that as the investigation still continues, so that was the other reason that the case was adjourned, because this is quite a detailed investigation. Remember, there are different investigators that are working together. For example, the Hawks and the NPA are also working quite closely together to look at the nature of these cases that they have against these people that they've arrested. So there's a lot of work to be done behind the scenes. They have to process, as part of that investigation, process a lot of documentation and look at, for example, the chats that these people are said to have had. Remember, this relates to the WhatsApp groups that were seen to be behind coordinating the attacks that we saw during the July unrest. You know that the instigator, or the alleged instigator that we spoke to yesterday, says that that wasn't the case. She says that her role in that WhatsApp group was slightly different. But that's the case that the state is going with, to say that all of this organization happened at that level. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're all crammed in together. On the 26th, there might be more than 34. In fact, a little birdie tells me that we're going to be having these conversations more frequently, you and I, Sal, about these arrests, because it will continue. There are others that need to be picked up, but I'm told by the NPA that there will be arrangements that will be made to ensure that all of them appear on the same day, on the 26th.
I have to say, it certainly seems like this process is gaining a real momentum. We did see some arrests last year after the unrest, but in the space of just over a week or so, we've now seen 34 arrests, and you say there's likely more to come. One would imagine they've got more on these people than just a few WhatsApp messages.
It would seem so, Sal. You know, we've been talking to people that are close to this investigation and the parties that are involved. And the sense that we get is that although it's now very public and we're seeing this happen, so we're hearing of these arrests and we're hearing of them frequently, we're seeing these court appearances happening more frequently, the fact is that the work has been continuing since last year. So because there was that much to get through and so many people to trace, there were people, particularly those that are involved in this investigation, that were working late nights, that were working behind the scenes. It's just now coming to fruition. And that's why we're seeing, I guess, this part of the process now, where they have these accused in court.
Yesterday, there was a very interesting timeline done by our colleague Govan, and there was a tweet from the former president's daughter, Duduzile Zuma, and she basically said, I'm expecting a Hollywood-style arrest, which is very similar to what Ace Magashule said a while before his arrest. Has she as yet been rounded up? Has she been arrested? Do we know anything at all about that, if it's at all imminent?
It seems like that's a very taboo topic at this point. I mean, I did try to ask the Hawks that when we had the first round of arrests, you'll recall, and that at that point we didn't know who was appearing, but there was nothing concrete. There was never a solid confirmation to say that she would in fact be picked up. You know that the public sentiment, I mean, broadly at the time, was that look at this person that is tweeting, and this is what they're saying, and they are inciting violence, and that was the sentiment then. Even now, there's a lot of interest in whether she will be one of those that will be rounded up as part of this initial over 80, we are told, people that will be arrested. But that's something that, I mean, if the Hawks have that card, they're playing it very close to their chest. But we will be watching the rest of their moves very closely and keeping an eye on who else will be appearing in the dock in the coming weeks.